My dear Masala Podcast fans, I've written a book called Bad Daughter. You surprised by the title? I think not. I've never shared such deeply personal things before. I talk about growing up in poverty. I talk about my father's violence, my mother's murder. I talk about how I turned my pain into power, navigating mental health, sexuality, spirituality, and patriarchy. Bad Daughter is my story of going from Mumbai's slums to New York's billboards. But it's your story too. What's the message of this book? It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what happened to you. You still get to have the life that you want. If you're looking for a book to move you and inspire you to change your life, type in Bad Daughter by Sangeeta Pillai on Amazon or go to my website, baddaughter.co.uk.
I think because I'm really connected to like spirit and like realms beyond earth, it's given me a source of strength and like belief in magic that is like wider than maybe what the 3D world suggests for us. And I still need to draw on it because I think still as a brown woman in music, there's so many hurdles that I constantly have to deal with and feelings that I think even become more obvious to me as I progress because you realize just like how far there is to go for us in culture.
Besharam, Badtameez, Chi Chi, Gandhi, Jalhata, Toba Toba, Oho, Bad Beti.
I'm Sangeeta Pillai, and this is the Masala Podcast. This multi-award-winning feminist podcast for and by South Asian women is all about cultural taboos, from sex, sexuality, mental health, menopause, to nipple hair, and more. This season is a US special, and it took me by surprise. You see, I interviewed these incredible South Asian American women. I expected to hear some angst around identity and belonging. Instead, they told me how comfortable they were with both their South Asian and American identity. I confess, this is not the podcast season I set out to record. It's so much more powerful. Raveena Aurora is magic. She beautifully merges sensuality and spirituality, something I've never heard in music before. Raveena found music early on, using it to create a bridge between herself and the traditional Sikh household in the US where she grew up. She mixes South Asian music with modern sounds. The result is a melting pot of various influences. Raveena launched her first EP Shanti in 2017, then self-released her debut LP Lucid, followed by Moonstone in 2020. My personal favorite is her latest album, Asha's Awakening, which tells the tale of a space princess from ancient Punjab. And yes, it's as fun and fabulous as it sounds. Watching Raveena perform at Coachella, she was the first woman of Indian descent to perform there. I find myself just transfixed. Like I said, Raveena is magic.
My earliest memories are in the living room, everyone singing old Bollywood songs or ghazals. And I think that's a very common experience amongst us.
Yeah.
So I was really first introduced to a lot of Indian music and then discovered first all the pop stars like Spice Girls and Britney Spears when I was really young. I think my dad also played a lot of classic rock, like Eagles kind of energy. So, and like Simon and Garfunkel. So I was introduced to all of that. And then I think when I really fell in love with music in my own way was being introduced to R&B and soul. And we had gone to a trip to the Apollo Theater, which is a really iconic music venue in Harlem in New York. And I was just introduced to Ella Fitzgerald and just like all these icons of soul music from that era. and I just fell in love, and I had to recreate their voice, and like really study it, and really like understand like all the nuances. So I would spend hours in my bathroom just singing and singing and singing to all these soul songs.
When did the music come out of the bathroom and come out to the world? Do you remember the first time you sang or performed for people?
Yeah, I started singing and experimenting with the voice after that trip when I was 10. And then I did like some talent show when I was 11. And then it was like I caught the bug and was like, I have to do this forever.
Did you ever have that thought that this is what I'm going to go do for a living? Or was it very, very it just happened? Do you remember?
No, I was very hell bent on it being what I did for a living. Like to me, it was the only option from a really young age, like 11 or 12. Like as soon as I knew I could sing, I was like, oh, I had a very hustler mentality as a kid because I
Hustler
really
mentality.
yeah, I did. I really wanted to make my own money, and I really wanted to like be independent. And I think it was a lot from me seeing how in Indian like traditional familial structures, women are not encouraged to work or like, just like
Yes, I
told
do.
to put their dreams aside once they have kids. And I think even growing up, all of the women in my family were like, you have to support yourself. You have to have your own job. And they wanted that for me, all the things that they didn't have. So from a really young age, I was like, oh, I have to like start making money as a kid. And I didn't make money from music until I was 23 or 24, but I still had that mentality for 10 years.
I could have this little image of you as like 11-year-old Raveena kind of running around saying,
Yeah.
right, I'm going to make money off this.
No, it was ridiculous. It was crazy.
No, but I hear the kind of more serious point of what you're making. I think like say it was very similar in my family. Like I was the first woman in my family to have an education, have a job. Like nobody did that before. But
Yeah.
I remember my mum telling me like constantly, you have to have a job and you have to have your own money, because in her experience, if she didn't have a life. She didn't have the choice to ask for anything or have an opinion that was any different, right?
It's huge. I think for us, it literally becomes survival.
Absolutely.
And it's like a different kind of drive
It
that
is a
enters
very
you.
different kind of drive. And sometimes I think when you come at it from that survival kind of space, it's almost impossible to switch it off. You're like, oh, I don't need to fight for my survival now. I'm like, no, my body's keeping fighting. You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah.
comes from there. It's like, you have to do this to kind of get ahead. So I completely get that.
When did that sense of survival like shut off for you? Or
To be honest, it hasn't. It still hasn't. So I think, and it's pluses and minuses of that as well. It's like the good thing is I don't give up. Like I'll keep going. Somebody says no, I'm like, okay, then I'll find another way to do this and another way. I will keep finding a way forward. So no as an answer doesn't exist, So that's the plus side. And I'm sure you echo, you wouldn't have got where you have in your career if you'd taken the first no, I would imagine, right?
I would be in totally different place.
Exactly. So what was it like for a young brown woman to want to make it big in the music business? What was that like?
I think definitely delusionally ambitious. like just like just this kind of, I don't know, very, I think because I'm really connected to like spirit and like realms beyond earth. It's given me a source of strength and like belief in magic that is like wider than maybe what the 3D world suggests for us. Yeah, I think, and I still need to draw on it because I think still as a brown woman in music, there's so many hurdles that I constantly have to deal with, and feelings that I think even become more obvious to me as I progress, because you realize just like how far there is to go for us in culture, in the West specifically. So I think it's like this like unshaken belief in self and like magic that has guided me through it, but it's definitely come with a lot of challenges.
No, I can absolutely imagine. What were some of the things that you were told by, I'm going to say executives in the music business because I don't know what their titles are, but when you turned up and you're like, okay, here's me, I'm this musician, this is my voice, this is what I want to do. What were some of the things they said to you?
I think like a lot of people were encouraging me to be more of a songwriter because they were just like, there's no place in the market for you. Like there's just, who are you going to appeal to kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I think there was a lot of questions around like branding and like how are you going to reach people with this exterior? Which is also ridiculous because I have so much privilege when it comes to like how I present, like as a like lighter skinned North Indian person. Like there's so much privilege in that.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing that, like I can't even imagine what other people are told. Do you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was a lot about like how is this gonna work? Because there's not many models for it. And I think maybe the one model we did have was MIA, but
Yeah.
music I make is so wildly different than that. So,
It is.
I mean, I love her.
Yeah.
She's
Me
such an
too.
inspiration. But we have different stories and different like ways of communicating in art. So I think when there's not like a precedent, it's kind of hard for people to place. But business people usually only they can only rely off the past. And what's really interesting in music is I think something has to be transformed every time something becomes successful. Like even if it's reminiscent a little bit of something from the past, something new has to be added to the story and the feeling of it. So you have to trust like the artist's instinct at the end of the day,
Yeah. And I guess if in the creative space you don't allow for something new in music and writing and whatever your art, you just keep regurgitating the same stuff over and over and over again in a million variations, right?
Yeah. And I think that's where I'm struggling the most with the music industry right now, because I think sameness in many different aspects is really valued in like in this moment in culture. And it's kind of like disguised as like all kind of being different, but it's really like selling the same things at the end of the day. And I think that that's something that we have to fight for as artists, just like not letting our sounds and our culture and our stories be diluted by the taking over of like technology, algorithms, AI, robots, like fighting for humanness and culture.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a conversation about AI, but I've always thought that AI is a tool. It can never take over. Like it can't create the kind of music you create, That comes from the source almost. Or write, I think, the kind of things I'm going to write, or paint or whatever. That will never be. It's just a tool, I think.
Exactly. I really truly believe that art is, you're just a channel for something higher than yourself and like divine. And I don't know how a robot could really tap into that.
Yes, I think so. Unless they found a connection to the source, I guess.
Yeah, kind of scary, but
That is kind of scary. So I know from reading a couple of your articles that it wasn't easy to kind of become who you've become in the music world, right? You've done all sorts of jobs from like retail to nannying to all kinds of things to fund your music.
Yes.
That cannot have been easy. Did you have any kind of big moments of... Am I making the biggest understatement? It wasn't easy, Raveena. Did you ever doubt it, though, in any of those jobs where maybe you had a really crap day and you're like, oh my God, I'm tired of doing this? Did you ever have any doubts?
I doubt it all the time. I doubt it. Even last night I was going through doubt. It's common. But I think you become stronger and better at talking to that doubt and seeing it as just like a part of yourself that you have to have conversations with every day and like see where that doubt is coming from, because it's always related to something in childhood.
So true. Absolutely true. I find that as well a lot. And I think what you just said there, which is investigate where it comes from, right? I have
Yeah.
these moments where like, oh my God, how am I going to do this thing? And then I have to say, okay, Sangeeta, you've done this a million times. Where is this actually coming from? And it'll be something else, like you said, something your mom said when you were 5 years old, or,
Yeah.
something like that. And I guess allowing that doubt some space, but not letting it take over. That's the balance, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I had this really beautiful meditation this morning where I was talking to that doubt, and like the words I kept hearing was, I trust in my creations. I trust in like that, because I've been connecting to this source energy every day, they've been guiding me on the right path with everything I'm doing. Just like the word trust, because I think like so much of what has been robbed of our bodies as brown people is this inherent sense of trust and safety. Like it's,
Yes.
even if we grew up with, say, no trauma, it's literally in our genetics because of our ancestry.
Yes.
Which I don't know if, I don't know many brown people who didn't grow up with
Without any trauma. I don't know anyone actually.
Yeah, so it's like you have to like create this home in your body, like a new home for your body that like really understands the feeling of trust. And it's like this daily remembering that you're safe.
I sometimes think about our ancestors, farmers farming wheat in the lush fields of Punjab, or growing red rice in the almost psychedelic green paddy fields in Kerala. I think about the sorts of experiences they had, the multiple traumas they probably faced, the births and deaths and lives that they saw. And I think about how much of that is stored in my own DNA. How many of my life choices come from the choices made by my ancestors? Yes, our bodies carry trauma from generations, but our bodies also have the ability to change the trauma narrative. How do we do that in practice, in reality? Well, first by becoming aware of our own thought patterns, our core beliefs that may no longer serve us, and then slowly using things like therapy or healing or meditation so we can begin to change those patterns.
Growing up, did you see any other brown female artists who you thought, oh wow, I could be that? Apart from MIA?
I think most of my examples were in Bollywood. I think that's why it's been such a big influence for me. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Probably Nora Jones, who's like, his dad is Ravi Shankar. Definitely her, Asha Puthli. But I came to know about Asha Puthli like more later. So I can't say it was as a kid. But yeah, I think I actually really just resonated more with like R&B and soul artists because I was seeing other like, women of color who were being so strong and honest and beautiful in their craft. So I think honestly they really had a huge impact on me. People like Sade, Corinne Billy Ray, all these different women.
What about Bollywood? Or Bollywood music? Who had an
In
influence on you?
Bollywood, definitely Asha Bhosle. I loved her voice.
I did too.
Let them take her. Definitely just seeing also the beauty of like Bollywood actresses gave me a lot of comfort because I was seeing my own features reflected back at me, kind of like the bump on the nose and like big eyes. Like it's, it's not erased in culture, which is really beautiful. It's like it's celebrated and held up.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess within mainstream American culture or British culture, we don't really see that so much, you know. I don't see many women who look like me, who are in magazines or on TV or, things like that. And I'm guessing it's the same in the States, which
Absolutely.
then makes it really difficult for us to believe that we are beautiful, that we are desirable, that we are anything. And that's really hard. Did you find that as well growing up?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think that it's very trippy when you can see that everyone else kind of has examples, but you don't see yourself. And I think that why what I do becomes so healing for me, but also other people because they're starting to see that reflected back at them. But I also think there's like so many other voices needed, and there are starting to be many other voices. But I think there's even more needed. I think we're just at the cusp of like this cultural revolution for like South Asian diaspora people, and I think so many more stories need to be there because there's so many different types of South Asian people and so many
Yes.
different stories and so many different ways of immigration. Me and my lineage is just such a small drop in that. So I'm excited for people to like really be able to see themselves reflected in all these different ways and different personalities. I don't know. It's exciting.
It is. 100% agree with you. I feel like this is that moment where South Asian women are kind of really coming into their own. Like everywhere I see your work, whether it's Mindy Kaling, whether it's Mira Jacob, I've been interviewing kind of some more amazing South Asian American women for this series of the
Oh,
podcast.
amazing.
And
Amazing.
I cannot tell you how excited I get when I'm speaking to you, because in all your voices, there's this sense of like imminent, things are happening, things are exploding. Like we're doing this and we're doing that, and we're in the White
Yeah.
House, and we're, throwing Diwali parties, and we're doing all this stuff. And it is so exciting, like even sitting across the pond, watching what's going on right now.
And I feel like the same thing is happening in the UK too. It's like
Mm.
I see it happening there as well.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that we're probably one of the last major cultures to get our flowers and our space in
Yeah.
Western global media.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also think that like the culture we have, the history we have is so dense and like intricate and beautiful. Like even when I go back to India, I'm like, how can I even like I'm just barely scratching the surface of what
Yeah.
I can even understand from
Yeah.
this whole thing. So like I almost don't even mind if it's palatable to the West. Like who cares about that at the end of the
Yeah.
day? It's our own thing. And
Yeah.
if people want to join the party, they will. But we're gonna continue to make art and continue to create no matter what. So
I love that.
if people want to hop on, they'll hop on.
You're
But
very welcome. It's fun.
yeah.
Raveena's music has an Indian soul. When I hear her, I'm transported immediately to scenes of old Bollywood music playing in dusty Indian street corners, usually out of rickety transistor radios. These tunes were the soundtrack to life in India in the 80s and 90s, playing in almost every corner shop and barber shop and vegetable store. Old Bollywood tunes have a special place in my heart. My childhood was traumatic, but this old music was a safe haven for me. On many nights around 10:30 or 11 p.m., I'd be in my bed listening to this old radio show called Binaka Geet Mala, where they played all the old favorites like Mohammad Rafi and Lata Mangeshkar. The soft tones and soothing music would lull me to sleep, my body relaxing completely. These were perhaps rare times in my childhood when I felt really safe, that it was safe enough to go to sleep.
The other question, or the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was how a lot of your music comes from your own personal experiences, right?
Mhm.
And you've explored like all sorts of things from identity to pain to loss to mental health struggles through your music. Was that something you intentionally set out to do, or is that something that kind of organically happened?
I think that because of the way I started writing music, that's just like kind of the style that developed, like this kind of journal, very vulnerable style. It's really because I was kind of going through some hard things while growing up and didn't really have a space to talk about them. But when I put them in songs, I could release what I was
Yeah.
feeling and kind of like say my truth
Mm.
in the music. So I've been using it as a form of therapy since I was very little. I think that that just kind of progressed naturally now. It's fun because at the core, I really love pop music. And I think that I also have a lot of fun just making pop music that's a little more like universal or
Yeah.
they'd enjoy. And I'm starting to write a lot for other people now too. And I think that's been a great outlet to like get that side of me out too. Because I think like not every song has to be the most serious either.
Yes, absolutely. I love your last album,
Oh, thank you.
which is called Ashes Awakening, which is about a Punjabi space princess. I loved that. I read that and I was like, oh my God, what is this? I love it. Love the colors. I love the kind of prints and textures of the music. You know, it's absolutely amazing. Talk to me about how that came to be.
It really came out of the pandemic boredom. I think that there was so much time to just kind of be bored in the same that way that we were as children and like really explore our imagination in that kind of way. So that album was a lot about reconnecting with inner child and having a conversation with my identity that I musically that I think I hadn't really had before. And that was like part of the awakening in a sense. Yeah, that album was really ambitious and like really imaginative and a whole world. And I'm really proud of like how deep the world was explored, and how deep the character was explored.
Yeah.
I'm very into like very like culty things like the gorillas, like how they like create an entire narrative
World,
and story.
universe. Yeah.
Yeah, I love doing that for certain projects of mine. It's really fun.
Yeah. And did that come from that, you were saying, this kind of inner child work? Is that where it came from?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that it's a sci-fi story and it's like a sci-fi story rooted in also just like spirituality. So I think it was definitely partly inspired by sci-fi movies I loved growing up, magic surrealism, but also just like spiritual stories.
Yeah.
Like because I grew up in a very Sikh household
Yeah.
and you're just told stories that are very magical, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like its own sci-fi in a sense. It's that belief in magic that I think is very like inherent in just a lot of people from our region. And I think that when you go, especially when I go back home to India, I can really feel it that there's no like questioning of the magic. I think there's a lot of questioning of the magic in the West. And when I go back to India, it's just understood and it's just like revered.
Yeah. No, I get it absolutely. I came to that quite late in life, funny enough. It's only now that I'm starting to feel that magic and trust the magic of where I came from. And I can
Yeah.
now, I have like, I think maybe in the last couple of years, I think developed this, what I think of as a connection to the divine that I know, you know, from my own
Yeah.
culture, from my own heritage.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it's been incredibly powerful. And magic is exactly what it is. And every time I go back, like you, I see how effortless it is for them.
Yeah.
You know, this kind of, whether it's a little temple that's like the tree becomes a temple in the middle of a road, you know, and people are
Yes.
worshipping, right?
like simple moments are like
Yes.
a
Yes.
chance to like pray and like
Yes.
remember.
Yes.
And it's
Exactly.
amazing.
I think so as well. And how also like we have the divine in like the sun and the moon, and we're saying eclipse, and we're saying this, and we're saying,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
all of these are treated as kind of divine occurrences, and they are really.
Yeah,
It's
they
just
are
that
divine.
they are, but we live
Yeah.
here now in this very rational kind of world, and oh, but that's just the lunar phase of the moon or whatever, you know, and you've
Yeah.
stripped it of all the magic, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's quite sad.
And like all the poetry
And
behind
all the
it.
poetry. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I wanted to pause this episode for a minute to share something that I'm really excited about. Podcasting changed my life. I went from typing into Google, "What is a podcast?" Yes, I did that, to creating the multi-award winning Masala Podcast. And now I'd like to share some of my knowledge with you. I'm starting podcasting masterclasses on my website, and one of them's been created especially for women podcasters. Just go to my website, soulsutras.co.uk, and look under courses, or email me at podcasting@soulsutras.co.uk, and I'll share details with you. I look forward to helping you on your podcasting journey. Now, let's get back to our guest for this episode.
Your music, I also find, is very, very sensual, very soft, very
Oh,
sensual.
thank you.
And it feels very intimate. It almost feels like you're the only person listening when you're listening to you.
That's really sweet.
Is that a reflection of who you are, do you think?
Yeah,
Is
definitely.
sensuality a big part of who you are?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm just like a true romantic. Like I try to like see, like catch the beauty in the ordinary, and I want to like, it's very, I guess it's very like Libra and like Venusian, like wanting to be surrounded by beauty and like wanting to be art just as yourself, like not even making art, you know, like becoming the piece of art. So I think, yeah, that like drive for like embodying beauty.
Yeah.
And not just like, you know, beauty, like plastic surgery kind of perfection.
But actual real beauty. Yeah.
Yeah, like something like glowing inside of you.
I guess the idea of beauty in the West is a very Western idea. It's very kind of blonde and skinny, right?
Yeah.
And
It's also changing to be like a little different. It's very like manufactured, I think, now.
yes, it
Even
is.
beyond blonde and
Yeah,
skinny.
you're right.
Scary, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It is. And what's
Yeah.
scary is that we don't find that weird. We've normalized that.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think
really
that's-
concerning how much young teen women are like on the internet, and like I wasn't exposed to so much like surgery knowledge and talk. Like I didn't know any surgery really beyond like rhinoplasty when I was 14. But now there's like 3,700 surgeries you can get, and like everyone is exposed to them when they're 12. I can't like imagine having all that information in my head.
Yeah.
So young. It's really scary.
It is really, really scary.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot older than you. So I grew up in a time where in India in the 80s, you know, and there were no, you know, there was no digital TV, there was no internet, there was none of that. And in so many ways, I'm so grateful because I never looked at myself like it just wasn't a thing.
Wow.
You know, I just never did. I was, I don't know, reading my books because my head was always in books or
When you were a
playing.
teenager?
Yeah, when I was a teenager. Because there was no need to
Blessing.
kind of
That's
look
amazing.
at myself. And it's only now that I think, oh my God, I'm so grateful for that. Because I never thought about what I looked like. It just wasn't a thing. Until maybe like when I turned 16, maybe that's when I started to kind of be a bit conscious of my body and my looks. But before that, I just didn't really think about it because nobody thought about it. What a blissful world, right?
What a different world.
I know. Exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I didn't really have that obsession until I was like 18. And even then, actually, I think like the self-consciousness of how I looked in my life really came after I started being like photographed a lot. And that was when I really cared about it for the first time. I think before that, I was just like, I am what I am. I don't care. And I really take inspiration from that younger self that was just like so like
Liberating.
yeah,
Isn't it?
like liberated, really.
Yeah, exactly. There's inherently, there seems to be a conflict between being sexual and being spiritual. I don't think there is one. I actually think they're the same. I just think,
Yeah, I think they're the same.
but we're not, when, if you talk about tantra or yoga, everything comes from the yoni, our creative
Yeah.
energy,
I
like
was
our
literally about to
ideas.
say that. Like
Yeah,
everyone, creation and like sexuality
yeah,
all come from the same energy
yeah.
center. So it's like
It's the same thing.
all the same. Yeah.
Yeah. But the outside world, whether that's Western, Eastern, whatever, has a real problem with that, where
Mm,
being sexual is a different thing and being spiritual is like completely different, and you cannot have the two together. Where do
yeah.
you think
It's
that
like,
comes from, that
oh,
discomfort?
I never thought of it in that way. Like the disconnect there.
Hmm.
Um, whoa. Where do I think it comes from? I mean, probably like Puritan ideals, colonial kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
shit that was
yeah. I don't know the answer either. I just
passed
sort of
on to it. I
thought
don't
about
know
it. Yeah,
from. I think really it comes from the need to control women's bodies.
absolutely.
I think that's where it comes from. Like
Absolutely.
being, I think like because women are so beautiful and like hold, like they like harbor so much magic and sensuality within themselves. I think men of the past and probably, still the present too are really intimidated by that. And it's, you need to like be like, oh, well, you're only beautiful from 15 to 30.
Yeah,
And then after
yeah,
that, you're done.
yeah,
Like these like dumb
yeah,
ideals when
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
true. Like
yeah.
some of the most beautiful women I've seen are like 60s, 70s,
Mm,
like
mm.
it doesn't matter. Like the whole age thing that's
Yeah,
put on,
yeah,
the
yeah.
obsession with features, the obsession with how we present our sexuality. It's all an effort to make this thing that is so wide and expansive smaller and like a bit available to commodify.
It's almost like if you can tell a woman that to access her own sexuality, she's got to spend all this money on all these products, right? And
Yeah.
then she's got to be really, really thin, and her hair's
Yeah.
got to be like this. And that's the only time she's allowed to access something that is within her own body.
Yes.
Isn't that
Yeah.
bonkers?
It is insane. My really good friend Bobo has a amazing podcast called Bobo's Void, and she makes these amazing TikTok videos where she explores questions like this. And she said, I'm probably going to paraphrase really badly, but she was like, beauty is unattainable for women. It's something that you have to work on your whole life.
Yes.
And like
Yes.
there's no like end in sight,
Yeah.
And for men, it's like you can attain success after you've got the girl and got the money. So there's like an end.
Yeah.
But for women,
Yeah.
like the attainment of perfection never ends.
So
And
true.
like as you age,
You're like running on a treadmill, trying to catch up.
yeah, like running on a treadmill or
Yeah.
like running up this hill that's like sand and it's
Yeah.
like all like
Yeah.
falling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like once we realize that it's actually all bullshit, that's when we'll be free.
Spirituality and sensuality are often seen as opposite things, but they're not. In fact, they both come from the same source. In some spiritual traditions, the exploration of the sensual is a path to a deeper connection with the divine. And when we look at our own South Asian traditions, like Tantra, which was born in ancient India, Tantra emphasizes the interplay between sexual energy and spiritual awakening. In fact, Tantra teaches us to use our own sexual energy for growth in every area of our life, whether that's work or relationships or spiritual growth. So, whatever your spiritual beliefs, I feel like it's so important to develop a deeper connection with our own bodies so we can live our lives to the fullest, really appreciating the beauty and the richness that surrounds us. So, Raveena, you talk about being queer. You're very open with your sexuality. Was it a tough journey to get to this part to where you're able to talk about it?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I think that I think that kids are coming into their sexuality a lot younger now, and it's so beautiful and it's so normalized. It's like, it's not like that different to be gay. Like everyone is kind of gay. And definitely when was growing up, that was not the case. And I really only came out when I think was 24 or something. And it came with a lot of like scary feelings, like feelings like, am I going to be abandoned? Am I going to be ridiculed? Mostly by like the more traditional brown people in my life. I wasn't really worried about anyone else. And I think ways I still struggle with it is biphobia. I got both biphobia, I think, from like some people of my age or fans. And then I think I definitely got a lot of pushback from family and a lot of like hurtful things that were said by older generations. But I'm not gonna like expose them. They're just learning at their own pace.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of like forgiving. They just come from different times.
And the way I see it is, they've not had the opportunity to learn any
Yeah.
better. We live in a world where we've
So many
learned.
of them are gay themselves.
Exactly,
Like, really,
exactly. It just wasn't an option, So then
yeah.
sometimes the thing you hate about yourself is the thing you hate in other people, I think. you
Yeah.
know? So I think
Yeah.
it's a reflection of them rather than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, being queer is beautiful, but it's also a journey, and it requires, I think the biggest thing that it asks of me is asking how the patriarchy makes its way into my relationships. And I think with all my relationships in women, the patriarchy has interfered in some way, and we've had to like have a lot of conversations about the ways that it does.
Could you give me an example of how patriarchy?
I think especially as bi women, we just have to like really take a deep look at ourselves about like why we may want a man in our life. And like, you know, it's something that I'm still working out in my head. I don't know if I can still completely like talk about it in a way that makes sense, but especially in like bi and like poly spaces, dating multiple people, it's like it's a lot about like prioritization and like ways that we maybe take care of men and like make excuses for them sometimes, and exploring that and exploring the ways where we can be more giving to each other as women and just like prioritizing those relationships is really interesting. And then in turn, in having all those conversations, I think it helps me have healthier relationships with men, because then I'm able to like really break down maybe like traditional patterns that I find myself in them, and really analyze like, am I exploring something because of daddy issues, or like am I exploring something because out of like pure love for this person?
I like that. Are these daddy issues or is it love issues? I love that.
Yeah, exactly. It's so complex. It's really complex.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's also very difficult to kind of analyze how much of our behavior is conditioning that we carry.
Yeah.
How much of it is me, and how much of it is the world that's told me it's this way, right? It's hard.
Yeah. I think it gets even more confusing when it's wrapped up in sexuality, which is
Yes.
something that is meant to be like pleasure and joy. And I think like you don't want to like question your sexuality or like why you're into certain things, but it's all connected.
So, do you feel like there's more representation now of South Asian women, of brown women in music, in fashion, in culture in the US? Do you feel like that's changing now?
A little bit. I think there needs to be more. I think that like, yeah, I think there could be a lot more. There needs
I
to be a lot more.
agree.
Yeah, I
agree.
think it's a good start.
It's a good start, but we need another couple of hundred of us, I think, before
Yeah,
it makes
exactly.
any change.
Exactly. I think it's actually exciting because I think that our children and our children's children are going to look back on this time and be like, wow. Like, I hope my children are going to see so much of themselves in art and in culture. And they're going to be like, oh, wow, my mom was really she's like from the ancient ages. She's from the beginning of all that,
She was there when it started.
Yeah. And I wasn't even there when it
Mm,
started. Like it
mm,
started hundreds of years before me,
mm.
but I think that we're still very much at the beginning.
Yeah.
We're still like, it's still being shaped.
I think it's really important, though, that you talk about children, but I think it's important for little brown girls in small towns and big cities and to see people like you performing at Coachella on their TV screens, in magazines, on their Spotify playlists. It's really, really important because unless they see people who look like them and have names like them and sound a little bit like them, they will never be able to imagine themselves in those spaces.
Mm, I think you're so right. But I also think there's like a really beautiful thing about just like something that can be taught more to all of us is confidence and like belief in self and belief in one's creations without the need for like Western approval or like global
Mm,
approval.
mm,
That I think that's something that as women of color we can also like
mm.
advocate for
Yeah.
more. Actually, you have that power inside of you,
Mm.
even if you don't need to like aspire to something to
Yeah.
like awaken
Yeah.
inside of you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. I think what you're saying is you don't need to be at Coachella to be feeling like you're a success in the world, right?
Yeah. Or like invest in your creations and
Yeah.
invest in your art. I think that's like why I love doing things like the grants that I'm starting to do, because it's just like we should be feeding and like encouraging artists of all spaces and all communities.
Absolutely.
Like art is part of ritual, it's just part of like daily life, it's part of like spirit,
Mm.
and it shouldn't be reserved to people who can like make money off of it.
Yeah. So say 5-year-old Raveena was sitting here in the room with us and we were having a chat. What would you say to her?
That's so cute. I would say you are like the magic that you're seeing in, because I used to like talk to trees a lot. Like I would say that the magic that you're feeling in nature is very real, and that it's going to be like a source of inspiration for your whole life. So go towards that. And I'm just really excited to have my own baby and like really help attune them to like the magic of nature.
Talking about trees, I on Saturday, there's a forest about an hour from where I live. So I had this real craving to go to the forest. I've been thinking this for like weeks. I'm like, I really want to go there. And I
That's so
went
sweet.
there and I lay on the bark of this tree. Like it was like a dead tree. It was like an old tree.
Wow.
And I just lay like head to toe. And I can't tell you how amazing it felt.
Aww.
And I was there for like maybe a couple of hours. It was like a reasonable day in London, which we don't get a lot of. But there's this, I don't know, this feeling of being held by nature. Like that's what it felt like. I felt like the leaves were holding me. I could see the leaves up
Aww.
top and the
That's
bark of
so
the tree was holding me. And like I was having a
wow.
difficult day that day. And I just felt like I needed to be held and I was
That's
held. So
yeah.
so I completely get what you're saying.
I'm really just about to go to the forest after this.
Lovely. There's something beautiful there.
You know, it's really amazing. I moved a lot closer to it, so it's like a 5-minute walk from me. It's really nice.
That's wonderful. Here's to many more forest walks for you.
Yes.
Finally, anything you'd like to say to listeners of Masala Podcast? There's loads of South Asian women who'll be listening, who'll be fans of yours.
Ooh, I would want to say that your desires and your creativity, like the things that bring you the most joy in the world, are the things to chase after and nourish. And whatever that looks like for you, it could look like pursuing it as a career, or it could also look like just like making time for it consciously in your day, and like setting aside like 20 minutes or like an hour to nourish that part of yourself. I was at a nail salon like 2 weeks ago. This is relevant. I was at a nail salon 2 weeks ago, and it was like a really tiny, like rundown place in like some random neighborhood. And I saw all this like incredible detailed art on the wall that all looked like it was from the same artist. And I was asking the person who was doing my nails, like, who made this? And she was like, I made these at night. After work is done, I go and work on my paintings for like hours and hours and hours. And I was just like so inspired by her. Like, she's like
Yeah.
an incredible artist, and her husband was just like celebrating her in a way by like putting
Hanging
up
them all
all
up. Yeah.
art on the walls, and like she like sells it to customers. And I was just super inspired by that, just like how she just like gives herself to art
Yeah.
whenever she can. It was so cool.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So everybody go create is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right? Raveena, it's been the most uplifting, beautiful, joyous conversation.
Oh, you're so sweet. This has
Thank
been really
you.
nice.
Thank
It's
you
like such a
so
great way to
much.
start the day.
Thank you so much for being on Masala Podcast.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Masala Podcast. Masala Podcast is part of my platform Soul Sutras, dedicated to celebrating and supporting South Asian women. This is a space for all of us bad betis who don't do as we're told. This is where we get to celebrate our culture our way and be exactly who we want to be. I'd love to hear from you. Get in touch via email at soulsutras.co.uk or my website soulsutras.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. Just look for Soul Sutras. Masala Podcast was created and presented by me, Sangeeta Pillai, produced by Anushka Tate, opening music by Sunny Robertson.
Besharam, Badtameez, Gandhi.